Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shadowrun, Nothing Personal. I'll be your humble host this evening, but I'm not your storyteller, or am I? Perhaps this edition, the Special Anarchy edition, will bring all kinds of new things to the table. Misfortune, what are we getting ourselves into today, my friend?
Oh, you guys are in for a treat. So welcome everyone to Shadowrun Nothing Personal Anarchy Edition, where we are going to swap out our standard 5th edition, where one game master is doing all the storytelling and you guys are doing all your complex, crunchy rolls. And we are doing Anarchy, a queue-based narrative system, which, as the name implies, there might be some anarchy. So, in this edition of Shadowrun Nothing Personal, we are continuing the story where we left off. We are not doing a one-shot. We are definitely picking up right where we left off on our way to Neonet. But before I explain the rules and how this whole thing actually works, this queue system, this mysterious thing, why don't we recap the story so far? So what we have is, previously on Shadowrun Nothing Personal Z, the team were slow to rise and began their Monday morning investigations. The date is currently April 13th, 2 days after the initial job offer and shootout at the Midnight Glade. After a nasty chase yesterday with some night-errant patrol cars that resulted in an emotionally scarred Haas from the experience, which the team followed up on this morning. Smiley called to check in on Haas, though not without spending a moment trying to convince his mother that they were friends before giving him the plan, part of the whole Cat Club conspiracy. Smiley then checked in with each of the runners, making their first priority to uncover a batch of data they stole from Virtua Electronica yesterday.
Yes.
While there was a small pile of useless data, a bank was listed in the records, which may contain further information on where to find Mr. Jameson, the Johnson who screwed them over on the run. The team set out to the First National Bank of Seattle, and with a tense cooperative effort by Smiley and Chord, they hit the jackpot. One address, registered to Mr. James Jameson in Snohomish. There'd be a caveat, however, as the detailed breakdown went on to mention extensive security and plenty of money being moved to Tarnus Jogenweld, the owner of the Midnight Glade, who they just had their big shootout at, showing him to have more ties than it initially appeared. It seemed that the team may end up pursuing their lead, provided by Eliza Morrow, who is the sort of captain, leader of a big death squad from Neonet, kind of taking charge of this whole shenanigans. And through her, they learned about an opportunist ally, potential ally at least, in the Yakuza, one Tanji Shinshaku, and potentially gain his favor for whatever the team may need it for. But the first order of business. They were going to swing by the regional Neonet HQ in Seattle and pay Tarnus a visit. So we're going to see what kind of information they inquire from their knife-eared friend. So, with the last chapter out of the way, what the hell is anarchy?
What is anarchy?
What is it? It's chaos, it's destruction, it's disorder, but it's also a really fun system.
What is cloud gaming?
What is cloud gaming? Alright, so this is Shadowrun Anarchy, a noticeably smaller book than Shadowrun 5th edition, and you only need this to play. It is based off of the queue system, which is essentially a pass-the-microphone style of storytelling. Now, while this is the first time I personally ran Anarchy myself, I have played it on 2 separate occasions, with one being at Gen Con with the magnificent Mr. Oscor, host of Join the Anarchy over on the Shadowcasters Network. Here in a little while, they're going to be hosting their own shows. So definitely check that out after we are done. But for now, a fair chunk of this is very reminiscent to Shadowrun 5th edition, so if you played it, it might actually be easy to slip right in, since it cuts down so much of the crunch and the fat down to the bare basics. Really boils it down. So it'll be fresh for me, yet familiar, which hopefully should make this first time run a breeze. But knowing these guys, I got my work cut out for me.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so here are the big differences in how this works. Normally in a regular game of Anarchy, every single player is a contributing storyteller, and the GM is a glorified referee, or they have to make the call like, yeah, I suppose we'll roll that and that'll work, or this NPC rolls this amount of dice. He has to make those decisions, but it's less control of the story, and that's more open to the players. Now, that's the general way Anarchy works, but there is a traditional style that we will start with to begin this, so we can kind of ease into it, where there is a lead storyteller, in this case me, And at certain junctures, I will give the team plenty of opportunities to fill in details, describe settings, and once we get to the fourth planned scene for the day, we're going to go all out and actually embrace the queue system proper. So, we'll kind of start out with me being the lead GM, then you guys will describe scenes, settings, particulars about them, and then you guys will get to control the scene themselves, which will be awesome. And this entire system is governed not just by the crunchy rules that are present in this, which there aren't that huge amount, but by plot points.
Yes.
You know the Batman villain Two-Face? Well, imagine these plot points are his quarter, where he chooses to make something positive or negative happen based on whatever he lands up with, except the players get to choose which side of that coin turns up. It can be used positively or negatively to change the story. To the players, like for the players or against the players, they can sabotage each other, help each other, whatever they feel the need to do with it. But they can also use it for more traditional mechanical uses. So, which are the ones we're going to focus on at the beginning of the session, but we'll explore more and more of what the plot points can do as we go. So, where we will get to the narrative-changing plot point potential. So some of the mechanical uses of these plot points. Live dangerously. Add a glitch die to a player's roll, which is the thing that makes the funny failures happen. Shake it up. Take over the current narration and take actions when it isn't normally your turn. So you can just I spend a plot point to take over the story. Surprise threat where unseen corporate security guards or other baddies just show up out of the blue.
Question.
Yes?
Do you have to spend a plot point to make flare composition work?
I imagine if you overcharged them or some other crafty thing in your narration.
Excuse me, I'd like a loan of 4 plot points. I got a fight coming up and I bet this purchase have fucking flashbangs.
How many sessions has it been?
I mean, like 4?
We're up to episode 7 now. This is episode 7. We have come a long way.
But we haven't given up on it, Bob. It's actually woven in more actively into the Anarchy character than it used to be in the other one.
Oh, you should see his character sheet when we're done. It's hilarious.
It's great.
So other examples of what you can use plot points for is you can use it as first aid to heal a point of physical or stun damage or to repair armor, because armor works differently in the system. We don't have soak dice anymore. We don't roll separately to soak up the damage. Instead, we take the damage, but it chips away at our armor until it starts chipping away at our condition monitors. So, in essence, Anarchy can be considerably more lethal in some cases. You can also use it to take the hit, where if your buddy Hoss is getting shot at and for some reason you feel like taking the bullets for a troll, you can just dive right in the way and take the hit for him.
That would be very kind of you.
Very unnecessary, but very kind.
My dear friends that I've taken many a bullet for already.
How do we prevent Hoss from taking this one bullet that would do 1 damage? Well, the other 3 of us stand in front of him at the same time.
Oh, joy.
Perfect.
So you just kind of line up the meat shields?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, and the last major mechanical use is a dish best served cold. Immediately take 1 free attack action against the NPC who just attacked you, and it does not count as a narration. A narration is a player's turn when they describe their element of the story, when they have the spotlight on them. And those are only some of the uses that we can use plot points for. It is not an exhaustive list. The book does have plenty of those listed in there, but there's more you can do with plot points. Your creativity is your limit. So, I want everyone to think of this game like that scene from the Lego movie where Emmett and the gang are trying to escape Cloud Cuckoo Land and the evil Lord businesses micromanage your robots.
We've definitely talked about this before. I still have not seen it.
Which is a shame, so I'm making a funny joke and you won't get it.
Oh.
He has a question.
Yes?
Speed is muted, but he has a question.
Okay, Speedy, unmute yourself and then ask your question.
You're unmuted, but we still can't hear you.
Okay, cool. Now you can hear me.
Bang!
Question. Where are plot points tracked on our wonderful character sheets?
I'm glad you asked. Look at the very bottom of your character sheets, and that is where you'll find your plot points. You only have a max of 5, and I will tell you how to get them here in a moment.
Wait, where at the bottom of the character sheets?
Look at your character sheets, very bottom.
I see it now, next to Edge. We start off with 3?
Yes, everybody starts with 3, and I start with 1, which I'm going to track using my own Shadowrun dice.
But when we use ours, he gets the bastards.
I do. I get your point. I get your
And
point.
it doesn't go both ways. Like in Star Wars, you use them and we get them back. No, it doesn't work like that. It's just you get preferential treatment.
Because I'm the referee of this show.
That's ridiculous.
But if you guys prove your storytelling chops and you use your cues, then we can make the awesome things happen and get you some plot points. But finishing the analogy I was going on to. So the part in the movie where they're building the submarine, and every character in the movie has their own ideologies of building it. So like Batman is throwing together his emo, gritty, ultra serious black and wherever he goes and whatever gadgets he can. Princess Unikitty is throwing in rainbows and flowers under the submarine, and then the old man Vitruvius, played by Sam Freeman, God bless him, he wants to put in night catchers in case of any naps. And there's the space guy wanting to put in spaceshipy things in the submarine. I imagine Smiley would be Unikitty in this case. Haas is Vitruvius, and his buttery smooth voice, or would that be the cat? Gentle, loving giant Unikitty, I'm not sure. But Chord is the retro nerd space guy that wants everyone to appreciate his old-timey things so much, you guys. And meanwhile, I'm going to be Emmett, the guy who has no original ideas of his own and trying to chip in with his useless elbow pieces, while all of the cooler and more creative people do all the cool things, and I occasionally throw in a dumb double-decker couch into the mix. Oh, and I guess Shade would be Batman, because...
And I guess Shade was cut in the delete scene.
Oh no, you're
hardly even in the cast list at the very, very bottom.
No, you're Batman, because you hate Emmett and how lame his lame and stupid double-decker couches are.
Also,
sticking to the instructions.
I'm in Club Bub right now. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
But seriously, what the flare?
I mean, if you want to discuss IKEA furniture, I'm your guy. But
yeah,
pop culture references? No way, man.
We can toss around furniture all day long.
That shit.
I'm about it.
I mean, I do understand what all the names mean. At least that's more than
I'm glad you do. But point of that whole joke is let the flare competition go. You've got all the gadgets and more moves and all the women and the bland guy sitting behind his GM screen that wrote this awful joke. Okay, let it go. So, the proceedings are going to work like filling in a collaborative coloring book. Generally, during a narration, while you have the paints and the easel of the Shadowrun universe at your fingertips, these guys will be filling in the colors themselves with established paints and try to collaborate painting one picture together. But to add a twist to the tale, that's where the plot points come in. So, if normal narrations is like filling in the colors of this drawing book, plot points is drawing entirely new lines, adding brand new colors to the easel. That should or should not be mixed, or just ripping holes in everyone's good work, but that's because that's just the kind of person you are. Now you got to make us draw around this big, huge, ugly tear in the canvas, Roderick. That's the power plot points. It's wonderful. So,
I don't even know what's going on anymore. I have no idea what's going on. Let's just get into it, man. I feel like this is a system that is better learned from experience. Let's make it happen.
Absolutely, I agree. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and go back to the map, and I will play my broody, dumb music.
Okay.
Alright. So, last we left off our runners, they were proceeding down Highway 5, Interstate 5, to go down to the Neonet building. And it is currently Monday, April 13th, 2076, 1 p.m. in the afternoon. It is dark clouds, rain is starting to pick up, but still fairly light. An hour had passed of an uneventful drive down the interstate, rain tittering and tattering on the windshield of Shade's van, while Chord, more exposed to the open air, and led the convoy on the rugged rumble of his bike, feeling each pelt of rain hit his jacket. And small thuds before the wind dragged it off him and left a slipstream of water behind him. The semi-tall, dull gray buildings skimmed by in unimpressive blurs and blobs in the drab-lit city, the odd lights here and there giving them some distinctive marks. Most Double A Corps were like this, after all, small, simple, and very unimpressive. It was then that you saw rising over the rest of the muddy city, shining like a beacon in the gray smog, and clouds of the surrounding neighborhood, was Neonet Tower. One of them, anyway. I'm going to go ahead and transition you guys over to here.
We have been transitioned.
That is a fancy building.
That is a very fancy building.
It reminds me of the police station in Resident Evil 2.
It's funny you mention that. Fierce blues and subtly flicking AR symbols patrol the square tower, giving it a hum and glow only a Matrix-centric corporation could muster. And for such a box-shaped tower, nowhere near as high as many of the other shining AAA pillars sprinkled throughout the whole city. It was certainly a fortress with its own slice of land, seemingly taking up 2 entire blocks compared to every dwarfed surrounding building. Activity was buzzing. Civilians of all sorts driving or walking through the rain to enter what could easily be mistaken as an oversized prison, threatening to swallow the neighborhood whole. A blip entered your AR displays as you approached, redirecting you through the traffic and guiding you to a tucked-away, discreet little underground parking entrance behind the tower. Once inside, a thin ramp brought you down to the cement steel bowels as you passed a small machine. Autopilot suddenly kicked in and guided your wheels further into the depths. A gated region several floors down in the sublevel opened up and invited you to a dimly lit lot where your car is self-parked and the gate locked behind you, obscuring you from the rest of the populace. The Shadowrunner entrance, you figure. Nowhere to be seen, heard, or noticed by the common wage slaves that parked the spacious, bright underground lots outside that gate. Your ARs blink to life and navigate you to an elevator just in the corner of the room, illuminated in a dull orange tinge and snuffed by the thick gray metal doors beneath the bulb. It opens to reveal a brightly lit and screen-laden box that could be a whole hall of mirrors in its own right. Overlaying the arrow, the augmented reality object guiding you to the lift, a message from Eliza reads, "Get inside, we'll join you shortly." Whenever you made your way into it, the elevator would at first lift up into the air, while advertisements of Neonet and their chirpy, feminine, automated sales message began to play. Welcome to Neonet Tower, Seattle's shining jewel of Matrix technology and worldwide leader of Matrix Technology Solutions. Founded by our CEO Richard Villiers and formed in the merger of Transys Neuronet, Erica, and Novatech, in the heart of Boston, Massachusetts. Neonet is one of the most diverse cultural and technological corporations on the globe, with centers across the UK specializing in various matrix fields, including infrastructure, research and development, biotech, electronics, host design and management, software development, and of course...
Chord, could you hack this to shut it up?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. Could you say all that again?
Ooh.
I punch it.
You punch
That's
the
what we
AR,
needed.
and it flickers, but it seems that the generator is behind some kind of steel wall, keeping you from ultimately shutting it off.
I tear the speakers out of everything.
Before you do so, however,
I grab Haas like, hey, calm down, big guy.
it suddenly stops just as it reaches toward the upper floors, as it began to talk about the Grid Overwatch division and many of the other AR VR advancements made by Neonet. To the point it became generic sales white noise, was cut short as the door opened to a pristine marble hallway and Eliza waiting right in front of the door. And from what little you could see beyond the threshold, very few bodies worked on this floor. That, or this elevator was tucked away somewhere safe and quiet in the inner reaches of the Neonet tower. As she entered, she produced a key card and stuck it into a slot by the keypad and typed in some kind of code before leaning in and providing some kind of retina scan. And just as the metal doors closed, the sales noise was about to turn on, but then she punches the panel and that instantly shuts it up. So she crosses.
God.
So she crosses
I'd
her
rather take
arms.
a bullet than listen to that Drek. And that's a plot point for me.
Yeah,
Oof.
so to start off our mechanics, if you guys mention one of your cues, you have to also let me know if it is one of your cues, because I don't remember them off the top of my head.
Sure.
You let me know
You'll
if you
know
said your
them
cue.
within half an hour. You know every fucking one of them.
Oh, yeah. But I,
I
should
have
mention-
one that I cannot wait to use.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Alright,
I had one in the elevator. I had one I should have used in the elevator. Damn it.
All right, so Speedy, go ahead and get your plot point, but make sure when you guys say them, they only work once at a time, and they have to be within context of the scene generally.
So
Good job,
the fact that I've taken all 9 of mine and woven them into 2 sentences, that doesn't give me 9 seconds. Damn it. You could have told me this before. I stayed up for 2 hours.
Fortunately, all of them only cover burritos.
Burritos.
One of my
fun.
cues is the word the. It's very handy.
All right, so Eliza crosses her arms And she says, we'll be heading to the sub-level where we're keeping our mutual acquaintance. And the elevator starts to zoom its way down in a very smooth ride. And she turns and mentions, I presume that's why you're here?
She's talking to all of us?
Yeah, she just glanced over her shoulder and mentioned this to you guys.
I believe so.
Wait, we're here to see the Yakuza guy?
No,
No, we're here to see Eliza.
Oh, I was like,
Well,
wait,
you're-
No,
Um,
we're here to see the bar owner.
yeah, Tarnish Yogenwald. He was the
That's
owner of the
right.
I'm glad I asked because it was like something's just not adding up in my mind.
You captured him for the guys though, bub.
Mhm.
You body slammed him.
Sorry, I'm
and yelled
stuck on this.
parkour and did it.
I'm stuck on this Yakuza thing. I've already been told that he doesn't like me because I'm a troll. I've got a
Was
problem
that the-
already.
Was that the guy we shoved in the Neonet car and we sat there for like 2 minutes?
Yeah, they
You
wanted
have
to
not
kill
met
him.
him. You have not met him yet.
Tarnus?
Or-
Who was the guy
No,
we
not
shoved-
Tarnish, the Yakuza guy.
Oh,
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, but
Lesker is the
bar
guy
owner was
we-
the guy we talked to in the car, right?
You haven't met Lesker yet either.
Mm-mm.
All right, so carrying on. She said, I presume that's why you're here.
To talk to that gentleman, yes.
Mr. Yogenwald has been taking a bit more time than I initially anticipated.
Why
Little
is
crack.
that?
Well, he's a stubborn old man, I'll give him that. But he'll crack. It's never a matter of if, it's just when and how. And since you're here, I might as well make use of you. So, the elevator descends down into one of the sub-levels. Your ears might have popped from how high and then how low you basically transition heights. Upon hitting the lower floors, a dull beep emits from the AR display above the digital keypad, indicating you have arrived. The doors slide open to reveal, and that's where I'll leave off. Okay, so guys, here's where we're going to explore our players and their GM storytelling chops. So, there are 4 scenes planned for our today's fun session, and conveniently we have 4 players. And 1 optional scene, because why not? And I decided that we could either have, basically I determined which scene would be best for which player, or you guys can have a roll-off to see who narrates the next scene.
Oh, come on, we gotta have a roll-off.
Are we
What the rest
really
of you guys
gonna
feeling?
do this?
Oh, we gotta have a roll-off.
Because otherwise Speedy would be narrating this scene first.
Ooh.
Ruh-roh.
I'm willing
So-
to step away on the first one. I would like to. I want to see what kind of chaps they got.
Alright, so it sounds like Speedy's going to be narrating it. So,
Well, unless these guys want to roll off,
I mean,
the rest of them.
it is a game of randoms, so I feel like
Let's
rolling-
roll.
alright, we'll
Fight
roll it
me.
off then. Roll a d6,
Sigh.
gentlemen.
You're not ready for what I'm giving you. I got a 1.
Leslie T wins with a 2.
Oh, you're telling me I win on a 2? Bob, you're
Bub,
a
please.
you're
Come on, bub.
Bub, come
a
on.
hardcore veteran GM at this point, man.
I know I am, but I'm eager to see. Like I want to step back and sink into this. I want to sink into your
you
swells.
can do that. All you gotta do is roll a 1.
Alright,
No,
bub,
I'm
if you don't want to roll, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna opt out
Alright,
this time.
we're
I'm
not
gonna
gonna
pass.
peer pressure.
Oh,
Let's see how it's done,
It
LCT.
just won't be that cool.
God fucking damn it! I should have been quiet. I can't shut my stupid mouth.
Okay, so it looks like LCT will be narrating the scene. So, LCT, you can describe this like in great detail as much as you want, or you can kind of mention some points that are in this hallway, and I'll kind of flavor some of it for you. But what needs to be in the scene is just multiple interrogation rooms, and each of them have a viewing room and the interrogation room itself. The rest is up to you.
Okay. I imagine the hallway is completely blank. There's nothing on the walls except for next to every door. There's a little tag that says room 4, brackets 5, and room 6, bracket 7. So you know which room it is and which room it's looking into. And it's completely empty.
Completely empty. No people are down here.
Not a soul.
All right. So you guys enter the very, it's a very drab, kind of like a plain bluish white that you see in basically any other hospital. Just makes it look very drab and dull and very sterile almost. And who knows what kind of blood could have been mopped up in this sterile-looking hallway. But there is no population here, and you just encounter multiple rooms that go up to the 7s, the 8s, and it looks like a long hallway that seems to turn, but it's probably just more interrogation rooms. Eliza escorts you to what room number, LZT?
4 or 5.
4. So she stops at room 4, and she swipes a key card, and it opens up to a viewing room where you guys can see a one-way mirror looking into the room. You guys go ahead and enter. And here's where we're going to start playing with some mechanics. You guys pile into the viewing room. It's just a simple room. And through the window, you see Tarnus in the room in some sort of restraints. But what kind of restraints are in there? What kind of tools are in here? How's the lighting? Is it a very brick and mortar looking room? Is it like plain white like the rest of the hall? What we're going to do at this stage is, since LZT won that roll off, why don't you go ahead and continue the scene for us, and you'll be the first to narrate. Give us a narration. You are the mini GM for the hot seat.
The room we enter is kind of the one entire wall is all kinds of electronic equipment for adjusting heat and light and stuff in the room to add pressure probably to the subject. Looking through the window, there is a man sitting in a chair with a table in front of him, and he's chained through the table, so his hands are on the table and is chained through the table and presumably into the floor. And the man's seen better days. He's sitting with a kind of a ripped shirt and a black eye.
Okay, so he's had some physical punishment. So
No, he fell.
A lot.
Oh yeah.
something.
He fell a
Fell
lot.
off
Alright.
there 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's in the books anyway. So here's where we can start playing with our plot points a bit. So here's how we can kind of use them in a more subtle context, where you can say spend a plot point to include specific torture tools in the room or other means of information extraction that are in the room. It could be machines that are probing his brain. It could be it could be him like strapped to some sort of electric chair. It could be a number of things that is getting him information. This could also include like a guard that might come in with that key piece of information to break him. He also doesn't. Tarnus himself does not have fully defined characteristics, apart from a few key details in his ties to Mr. Jameson. So why not add a family member, a friend, or something terrible or scandalous that he did to mix into the story that could get him talking? So long as they are grounded within reason and consistent with the rest of the story we told so far. And don't worry, there will be a dragon-sized amount of room opened up later when the session gets to the pink mohawk section later on.
Which is now.
The rule set is called Anarchy for a reason, after all. Alternatively, you can also use the mechanical uses, like giving a player a glitch die to find that exploit, that little weakness, or a glitch, which obviously can make things interesting. We're going to go ahead and start with some of the past the mic storytelling, and I'm actually going to use our Twitch layout that we have set up to kind of determine the turns. So, Bub, unless you want to forfeit your turn first to lead the scene, you go first, or would you rather have Smiley or Face go ahead and go first?
Sure, I can start.
All right, so the spotlight is on you, and you control the scene and the setting pieces. And you can also use plot points to make things appear, disappear, whatever your heart desires, so long as it fits.
So long as it fits. Okay, so we have descriptions up to this point, basically that we've entered a room that's similar to the hallway, this empty veil of sorts, where nothing quite appears to be decorated. He's chained down to the table. He's chained to the floor alike. His clothing seems to be torn, and he seems to be a bit roughed up, right? That's the picture so far.
Mm-hmm.
We're not in that room, though. We're looking at it through a one-way
You're in a
mirror.
viewing room looking through a one-way mirror, as if it were a police interrogation room.
Okay, all right. All right, so
Also, if you so choose, you can declare what's called talk time. So you can actually just talk with the team, or you can talk with the NPC, which is me. Or you can just go ahead and proceed through the scene. Whatever makes it happen in the scene.
okay. I think we should just open this up with talk time. Kind of discuss what our game plan is here. We can just go and play good cop, bad cop all day long. But if this guy's already been through the ringer for 3 days, then
All right. So here's your talk time.
Okay.
Talk, my characters.
What can we get from this man that will be useful to giving to Mr. Jameson?
Address.
You already have the address.
We already have
but-
that. What I kind of imagine
Okay,
Is it
would
just
be-
us in the group, by the way?
Location.
It's you four plus Eliza, and she's standing there with her arms crossed, looking through the one-way mirror.
Okay. Eliza, do you mind if we talk in private? I think you'd be better off not implicated in whatever might happen next.
Let's see. She goes, normally I'm supposed to be overwatching our prisoners when their interrogations are going on.
Yeah, well, you
I would
got
very much
cameras.
like to hear what he has to say.
You got cameras.
She glances inside, and you guys do indeed notice a camera inside. At least 2 cameras looking at Tarnus. She glances at Chord, nods, and says, I'll be outside. And if you need any suggestions, feel free to ask. She steps outside, and the door shinks behind her, and it is now just you guys in the viewing room.
Okay. Is there a camera in the viewing room? No, there isn't.
Uh,
Oh,
Hey,
that's how this
Speedy.
game works.
Speedy.
Bob,
Speedy.
is there a camera in the viewing room?
Bob, is there a camera in the room?
Speedy, you can spend a plot point to make no camera in the room.
yeah,
Or
I mean that's the
make a
thing. Is
camera
like
in the room.
even outside of your turn, from my understanding, you can spend it at any point to interject and declare something.
Yeah, but you don't have to spend the plot point. You can say, Bub, is there a camera in the room? And you just say no.
Yeah, no, I can say no to the effect of Hoss looking up, seeing the camera, and just pinching it.
So there is a camera
There
peering down at
was.
you guys,
There was.
and it got squished by Mr. Haas.
I kind of hit him a little bit on the shoulder. I'm like, you're a professional. Act like it.
Get your plot point.
So, what are we waiting for? We just go in there and I just grill him. Hit him, bing, bang, boom. Get this thing done and over with.
I think they've done that already.
Yeah, we gotta have
But-
something different.
Hey,
So-
Smiley, you can do a little thing, maybe?
A little thing.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
little thing.
Smiley, you're good at this. You can go in and like talk to the guy, right?
This is kind of your thing.
Well, as long as you're all right with me taking charge of this moment.
Oh well, yeah. You should bring up about when Shade grabbed the paper from his office that it said once he gets the Izanagi thing, that it says he's done with him.
That's very nice.
I mean, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but it
By
would
all
be pretty
means,
cool
I-
if this, if this went okay. I'd like things to go smoothly just once, just to see what it feels like.
All right
Like-
then.
Well, if you guys are need like information from me, there is no memory test, but you can just ask me, and I'll
Mhm.
tell you what you remember.
Oh no, that's me just running with the story.
I'm
still.
gonna look at Shade and say, trust me, I know what I'm talking about, and I would like a plot point, please.
There you go.
I got one too.
Same.
This is fun. I feel like I'm winning.
Oh, wait till you get the spin.
We're doing good.
All right, I'm gonna walk.
Boys.
So how do I attain control of Bub's scene? Essentially, is that what you want, Bub?
Yeah. Basically, like my interjection at this point is stating that we found when Shade found that paperwork in the back, it just had a signature, but my descriptor was that he wrote also additionally that once he's collected his Inagi, he's done with this man. He can separate. He doesn't care what happens to him.
Okay. So much to mention with the plot points. We can use these to change like many different aspects of the story, but what we can't change is character motivations. So I will tell you,
I'm curious. Let's before you start going into the jibba jabba, what's his motivation for dealing with his character once he's already got what he's after? He already threw him to the wolves and left him to get slayed by a series of bullets. I think that story tells itself.
There could be another angle. But what I will tell you is, based on the information that you guys have acquired last session at the bank, you learned that a lot of money has been transferred to Tarnus, to his club, to him personally probably, but a lot of money has gone from Mr. Jameson to him. Some of it was recent, but some of it was also over a span of years.
So he's been in his pocket for a long time, I expect.
So that's what you know from the bank.
All right. Would like to enter. Does anybody want to come with me?
Sure, I'll follow up.
Excellent. It's nice to have something foreboding in the distance.
You could just stand in the door and you. Where did the door
Actually,
go?
yeah, I love that. Just stand in the doorway. Like, don't even enter the room. Just like leave the door. Is it an automatic door? I want you to just like sort of lean like your shoulder into the room, and the automatic door keeps trying to close, and every time it does, there's this thunk against your arm, and it's just like this evil metronome as we question him.
Okay.
Thunk, thunk, thunk.
All right.
Thunk, thunk, thunk.
So I will spend a plot point. Oh yeah, I'm doing a TM plot point.
All right.
The door, it's a key card door, and it's smart enough because this is Neonet. They're the kind of highest Matrix type people there are out there, and they're smart enough to know when people are standing in the door, so the door doesn't do that.
Oh, really?
Just for the plot point, just to ruin our fun.
Hey, that's good.
What?
That's a wasted plot point from him. That's one less he has to fuck with us.
Oh, just wait till I get your plot points. All right. Okay, so I guess we'll go ahead and call that Bub scene. And we'll go ahead and proceed to the next in the list. That's going to be Smiley. So
I walk in.
Spotlight's on you, and you now to start describing what you do and what basically happens.
Is there a seat that I can sit in? There is a seat that I can sit in, but it's not at the table. The table only has a seat for him. I sit right next to the one-way mirror, where there's these like series of seats that might be for lawyers or extra eyes and ears.
The person doing the talking.
Mm-hmm. And I sit there and say, well, good day. I bet you were not expecting to see me, alive.
So he sort of groggily looks up. You start to come into focus. With a little blood trickling down his mouth, hands tied behind his back. Remember, you can spend plot points to change elements of the room, like include tools somewhere, change the lighting, add some torture devices over there, or a computer over there. Or an NPC comes in with sudden information. Who knows? So, he seems to be missing parts of his fingers. His pointed ears have been clipped off. There's also an overwhelming amount of aura, suffering, felt to you, those who are awakened, which is basically you, Smiley, as if a cold ocean is trying to pull him down, and you along with him, while stabbing your body senseless, is that pain you feel in the room. But he goes on to say with a soft smile, "Hello. Interesting to see you again, I must admit. I would get up to shake your hand, but offer you a drink, but I'm afraid my hands are tied down, as it would seem."
Well, maybe we can take you up on that drink.
I'm going to try to.
And I gesture to. And I gesture to a water container, I guess, that might be in the other room, maybe. Just sort of thumb like that. Is that too much for a plot point, or?
Sure. If you want to spend a plot point, go right ahead.
All right, water. This guy's probably been, dried up.
So there's a little water cooler just in the corner of the room, very unceremoniously. It's like a water jug.
Yeah.
I walk in after seeing that he's walking over to get this water for him. And I looked at the individual sitting down. I'm like, hey, DeQuery guy. Yeah, Kiwi DeQuery.
Hey, it's the DeQuery guy.
Yeah. Hey, funny seeing you again. You know, last time you shot at me.
Well, I'm afraid it was nothing personal. Just,
We've been hearing that a lot.
Oh, that? My mom's done way worse.
It was an unfortunate circumstance. And by the way, Bob, I should mention...
Plot point.
Sure, go ahead. Sure. Well, just up front...
Question. Do you get a plot point when you say it's nothing personal? Because I feel like you probably do, and you just don't tell us.
Nope.
I don't like this game all of a sudden.
Okay, so...
He's been racking up plot points for weeks.
So just a heads up, when it comes to the narrations, usually it's the one-person scene. You usually want to spend a plot point to jump in on the scene and make your thing happen in the scene.
Okay.
Because otherwise, it's basically Smiley's movie. He's directing it.
I think that was a good use of a plot point, though.
So, you grab your drink.
Just hopping in, grab a drink. I'm not going to give it to him just yet. And let's see. Just sort of like let it like... I want to do that thing where you fill up a cup of water and you just go up and down and make it splatter and whatnot. And then like sip at it and say, it's really weird. Why were you working for Mr. Jameson for so long?
Go ahead and make your negotiation roll. Let's roll some dice.
Let's roll dice. My negotiation? Let's see. Does diplomacy fit into this? Probably not.
Actually, I would say yes. You are attempting to gain some information. Talk with him, level with him.
Oh, it just does it. Well, I only got 2.
Let's see what he says in return. So if I don't have an immediate skill ready to go, I just kind of pick one and roll with it. So he'll roll that amount of dice. And usually these narrations have one roll. Usually they're supposed to have one roll, so we can keep the story moving. Interesting. So Defender still wins. He's been coming to my bar many times. We've shared a few drinks, shared a few laughs. Nothing too notable.
Yes, I'd say you'd laughed all the way to the bank.
That is a funny use of a metaphor, I must say.
And literal use, because I believe we have a lovely piece of paper that describes how you're really of no use to him once he has. You know what he has.
Right, because you actually did print out some bank documents, so you did print those.
We did.
So did you slide it across the table to him?
Yeah, just for him to look at. Not take.
He kind of looks at you and just smiles. Is just that same damn artificial smile he's been giving you since the bar. I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about. Now, let's see. How can we make this interesting? And don't forget, your plot points can change elements of Tarnus himself, like some of his backstory stuff, some things that might lead him up to this, some things that could kind of help squeeze the life out of him. Not to mention the torture tools, because
That's true. Could I use my knowledge of bars and clubs to sort of find out that maybe the whole situation at the bar went in a direction that is actually not good for him? And that it wasn't supposed to be, like, shot up like it was?
Spend a plot point and we can make that happen.
Okay, I'm going to make that happen. I'm going to say, really, that's the direction you're going to go with this? You shared a few laughs, and then your entire bar gets blasted away by Neonet and a bunch of... Who did he hire exactly? Because he had quite the outfit.
Those were my personal security guards.
You told them to shoot up your own bar?
There wasn't any shooting planned. It was just take the disc, let him leave, nobody gets hurt. That was the plan. Then Neonet showed up ahead of schedule.
From the looks of your fingertips, you're not the only one that's been hurt. I'd like to, let's see. I want to try to see if he's perhaps got another connection that he did all this for. Like someone that maybe... So yeah, I think I want to spend a plot point saying that he did this specifically for a person that he does care about, that he didn't want to get hurt. As I understand it, having a bar, a very ritzy club, that's great. Good on you. It's in ruins right now. You wanted a reputation for someone.
Yes, that bar was my crown jewel after I had finally escaped the Barrens. With the help of Mr. Jameson, of course. Weren't for him, I wouldn't have that bar.
I see.
And what's this connection?
This connection is maybe from the Barrens, I think. Maybe it's... I want it to be someone that ran with Mr. Jameson at some time during a job.
Okay. Ooh. And this guy is affiliated with Tarnus?
Yes. He's affiliated with them and he knows them on a personal level.
And he helped my sister. He mentions... Yes, Mr. Jameson has more friends than just myself and a few others. My sister. We both owe him our lives. It's the simplest way I can put it.
She's awakened as well. I'm dealing with a troll that's been adopted. I have to make sure.
Yes. Yes, she was.
Okay. Do you want to see her again?
Make a diplomacy roll. Normally I would only have you roll once, but this is getting interesting, so we'll go ahead and roll again.
6.
All right. And here's the interesting thing. There's no glitch like there is in Shadowrun 5th edition, where half or more of your ones are... If more than half of your dice are ones, there's no glitch there. A glitch happens because of a glitch die, a single die, that gets rolled based on the situation or at my behest, or if a player makes that happen with a plot point. And if it's a glitch, glitch happens. And if a 5 or a 6 happens, an exploit happens, which is pretty cool. So tell you what, I'm going to let you roll the glitch die, Smiley.
Okay.
So let's make things interesting. So you're
one.
Oh boy. So go ahead and describe. Yes, this is the part where it gets fun. You have to describe how you glitched in your explanation.
How I glitched.
Yes, because you're the main narrator right now.
That's a good point. Okay. I think something is beginning to show in Smiley's demeanor. And that whole, we're chatting about how he's probably a sociopath, it's starting to come out.
Oh.
And you see him get up from his seat, and he walks over to this toolbox of torture. And all of you, every single one of you outside the room realizes he's locked in a room with someone who cannot escape.
Is it locked?
It's a key card. It's a key card room.
thought we established Bub was actually standing in the door. The door that doesn't thunk him, but it does stay open if he stands there.
Oh, that's right. You did spend a plot point to do that, Bub.
I did.
So Bub,
Then
can see what's
Bub,
happening.
you're the one that notices this.
Okay. Tell you what, we can go ahead and go to the next person's turn, which would be LZT.
Yeah, because I think this is when my turn ends.
Okay, so we can either proceed like round the table, which in this case would be LZT, or if Bub you want to, you can spend a plot point to interject and take over his turn.
No, I think this is totally fine.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really have anything to add to the situation. I imagine that Shade at this point has taken up smoking because he's so tired of all this bullshit. So he just picks out a cigarette and starts smoking it. And I'm like, just once things could go.
Fingers
Spend a plot point.
crossed.
There's a smoke detector. Everything goes off. I'm not doing
Speedy
it.
spends.
I'm not doing it.
You actually said it. I spent a plot point. This one's broken.
Oh God.
By the way, Smiley, you spent 2 plot points, and Bub spent a plot point. Just checking.
I have 1 plot point left, unless I can use some cues, which I might.
That means I have 3 plot points.
For the record, why is it LZT's turn next? What's the rather than?
Could I actually do one?
First?
Could I actually say one last thing to this fella, really quick? I want Smiley to go over to the tray, and he'll probably pick up like some 4 steps, and he'll just start playing with them, put them back down, and then pick up probably the sharpest thing on there. And he'll just look to this fella and say, "Isn't there something you can do? I'm begging you." And I would like a plot point.
I imagine this.
Okay, I have a plot point.
I imagine this as the torture scene from The Dictator. That's all I can think right now. The Kandahar cockroach. Yes, it's a very good tool. I grant you.
Okay, so technically LZT would be your turn, but you can make certain things happen, like
It should go to
Does he show
Chord.
up?
It goes to Chord
Yeah, it's
next.
Chord first, right?
Yeah, because I haven't gone yet.
It goes Hoss,
You
Smiley,
need more screens,
Chord.
Misfortune. You need more screens.
Yeah.
I guess I do. I need more screens.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and go with Chord. So Chord, you are now the lead narrator, and you're making kind of the world happen things around you. What do you do?
I'm going to hack into the probe that is currently in this guy's brain that they've been using to try and interrogate him and torture him mentally.
So there is a probe in the room.
Yeah.
Plot point, please.
Ooh.
Not
there's-
just in the room, in his head.
Yeah, in his head.
So he's strapped and chained down to a chair with a big machine kind of almost drilled into his head, like little needles poking in. So you hack in, go ahead and make a hacking test. And
Okay.
I'll just roll something generic.
Luckily, as I made this thing, it has really weak defenses. There's a mind probe that has like no defensive capabilities whatsoever. It's not running on silent or anything.
Sure. It's a simple tool after all.
Oh God, what role is this?
So in your case, it's going to be the hacking, I believe. Hacking roll. And all you got to do is click the text.
I don't see that. Oh yes, I do. Hacking, cyber combat. Got it. Yeah.
Give it a click.
6.
All right. So you successfully hack the crap out of it. Go ahead and narrate what happens.
So this machine just kind of starts whirring a little bit. You see a couple of lights on it flashing, and God, what's this guy's name again?
Tarnus.
Tarnus, yeah.
Tarnus. Yeah, Tarnus starts to get visibly a little bit.
It's Tarnus in a harness.
God damn it.
Never mind. Go ahead.
All this talking is making me making me want to shoot one of you. Specifically, Misfortune.
Tarna starts to get visibly, like, nervous, like, both because of what Smiley is doing with those torture tools and because of this machine that he knows is about to do something. However, it's not going to do what he expects, as he hears Chord's voice coming through it. Saying, look, we're working. We don't want Neonet to get away with this either. And sticking it to Neonet is worth more than any Nuian they're paying us. Point.
There you go. That's your plot point. Okay.
You can tell me what you know, and we can help.
Okay, cool. Roll a glitch die. I want to see if you get an exploit.
All right. Where is the glitch die?
It's on your character sheet. The glitch die.
Yeah, I see it.
There you go.
Exploit.
Cool. So you just opened up some sort of thing in his defenses. What happens? How does he respond to it?
I'd say he's just like emotionally charged enough at this point that he is relieved to hear some sort of like more friendly voice, and is just very trusting of it.
Now, I'm going to spend a plot point. Now, fun fact, I can only spend one plot point for each of your guys' narration. Normally I would spend two, but I'm saying one. So in this case, there's two cameras, both looking at, like, adjacent in the room, looking down at him. You don't know if they have microphones or not, but they are looking right at Tarnus.
He can't hear it. It's going through the like mental probe that is going into his
brain.
So
you're actually injecting the message right into his head?
Correct. And he, assumably, if this mental probe works the way that I would expect that it can, would be able to respond mentally.
Sure.
And in fact, his surface level thoughts, which he would normally have to like just kind of fight to suppress under the weight of this, I would say that because of that exploit, they're kind of coming up to the surface, and he's just sort of more willing to let them free.
So you are feeling those thoughts come to the surface of Neonet, Mr. Jameson and Neonet. And you see some images, at least. Some kind of distorted pictures coming to view of the guy that looks like Mr. James Jameson. You see a girl clearly wearing like a tattered shaman robes of some sort. And you see another older woman, and she's clearly carrying a PDA, a deck. And the four of them seem to be in a small room in the Midnight Glade, or they're at a table talking. You see that image of these four people just talking about things. You can't hear the words, but you're seeing those images start to come up as Neonet is brought into question. So that's a good narration. Go ahead and get a plot point, Chord.
Sweet.
Solid. That's another way you get a plot point, is great narration. So to stick to a turn format, again, I'm going to use our Shadowrun interface on Twitch to kind of be the table here. So we'll start with Bub again, and we'll go through proper.
This go to Shade now?
Well, we kind of awkwardly bounce the turn around because of stuff.
I have nothing to contribute, so I don't...
Okay, all right. It's my turn.
So you're standing in the door.
I'm standing in the door. Probably just inside of the room, since I leaned in to talk to him briefly about the strawberry kiwi daiquiri. or dequery, if you will. Okay. I've noticed some things about Smiley, some things that might be a little unsettling. However, amidst this this almost gesture-like response from Smiley, I can see that Tarnus has like a notable shake. Something happens and like his head jars. And I can see that his eyes are fixed forward, but there's something that's happening. Like you can tell there's something like that's away from the audible visible range or audible range, something we can't tell, but something's happening, and that's when we see that this machine starts to tick forward. I've seen multiple devices go live under Chord's it's just minor intermittent command. So I'm assuming at this point that this is Chord's doing. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's being said, but I can imagine that this is Chord's doing. Smiley turns to hear the popping and the whizzing of this machine triggering, while he deviously clutches the forceps. He immediately recalls this device. He's had information available to him for a very long time. He may not necessarily understand hacking or much of the Matrix for what it is, but he's informed about more of the basic concepts of these devices. Now, there are a slew of other utensils, tools upon ye old torture table.
What kinds of them?
One of which is we'll say, a small case. A small brown case that, once propped open, contains many vials of various fluids. Once imbibed or directly input upon sensitive locations of the body, they have immediate change upon the person. I'm willing to spend a plot point to say that Smiley has somewhat intense knowledge of all of these, considering he's an elf and he's lived a very long life. He has studied them for one reason or another. One of which is a particular fluid that, once put upon portions of the brain, can trigger massive pain complex. It essentially sends the pain center of the brain into overhaul without physically touching the person.
Okay, so spend your plot point for that bag of vials and the knowledge that Smiley knows a bit about.
Okay.
So you go and hand off the mic to Smiley?
I'm gonna pass the buck.
All right, Smiley, you are now the narrator. You notice this vial.
I sort of let it trickle between my hands. My fingers appear to be so much more dexterous than one might think. And I would like to just go ahead and...
By the way, Bub, get a plot point for that awesome narration.
Yeah, dude, that was amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, so... how's he looking?
So you see his eyes just sort of darting along the kind of corner of the room. He seems to be contemplating something, or something's going on in his mind. And he's just staring straight forward. Though he is casting a couple glances, I don't want to say apprehensively, but there is a slight glare when he looks at you, looking through all those torture tools and vials that he may or may not have already endured up to this point.
I'm going to ask him, as I sort of hold this amazing thing that Bub has offered to me. And I'm going to just sort of tilt my head and say, do you think it's safe? I bet it's safe. We're fine. And I would like a plot point for my cue.
There you go. Awesome.
And from there, in unless he starts talking, I'm going to... This is intimidation, I think.
This would be an intimidation. Go for it.
Stay a while and listen.
Okay. Mr. Turnus, how do you do? Okay. So we're going to roll 66. All right. How does he respond?
He responds probably with like immediate like recoil. Like he recoils, and it just makes this clattering with the the handcuffs and the chains that he has on him. And I would like him to immediately begin to essentially fess up to anything he thinks in his head can stop me from going any further. Because
what do you want to know? You already know about his location, don't you? He says, just glancing at the paper you put in front of him.
That's one thing. There's so much more to learn, though. And I'm gonna talk to you guys. Let's talk it out. I feel what should be the first thing he fesses up to, like about Mr. Jameson and the Izanagi.
I mean, where to find him would be very, very convenient information.
Okay. I want to know if Mr. Jameson would have the Izanagi on him at all times, or if he would put it in storage somewhere.
I would imagine that he's trying to reverse engineer it. So yes, he would probably have it on him.
That's interesting.
He's been planning to get this prototype for some time now. So I imagine he wouldn't want to give it up lightly.
What would make him give it up?
The force in this world. And he just sort of licks his lips, spits out a bit of blood. This has been long in the planning for some time. He's not going to give it up to you. He'll die first. The Izanagi program is too important to his plans. And Speedy, thanks to your awesome narration, you start to get more images surfacing. Some noticeable ones. You notice images of a house, a really nice house, like at least layers of marble carpet, someplace like a high wage-making person would live in, a high lifestyle, almost luxurious, if you will. And you see through what you would assume is probably Tarnis's eyes, he comes across Mr. Jameson. You clearly notice it's Mr. Jameson in this image. And in his lap, you see that Decker that you saw in your vision a moment ago, that flash in the Midnight Glade. The woman that had the deck. Long brown hair, silver streaks, purposely put in. And her entire face is just bloodied up. Her mouth, part of her cheeks, she must have been maybe in a struggle of some sort. And you notice a few bullet holes. No, not bullet holes. I had to think about this for a second.
Electrical burns?
When you look at this body, it could be an accident. Like there was some shrapnel, maybe. Oh, okay. So blood is out of her mouth. She doesn't look shocked. She doesn't look injured. She doesn't look beat up in any fashion. But she does have blood pouring out of her mouth. Her eyes sort of glazed over. If you didn't know any about her, she looked like a completely different person, despite the fact that she seems to have choked on something or swallowed something that made her like this. But you just feel something's off. In fact, that's Tarnis's imagery and emotions coming through that something about this is not right. this could not be an accident. This couldn't just be something she did herself. And you start to see Mr. Jameson's image of him torturing over something, fessing over something. He's poring over details and trying to find something. And at a point, you then notice flashes of neonets. And that's what you're starting to get out of this imagery. However, Smiley doesn't notice this. Would you like to spend a plot point to interrupt whatever he's doing and send a message at him? Or just let him proceed?
Did we, earlier in the game, get the name of Jameson's wife?
Glitz.
I'll spend a plot point to interrupt.
Okay. You interrupt Smiley's narration, and what happens?
Chord just sends a message to Smiley saying, ask him about Glitz.
Yeah, Smiley's sort of corner of his lips twitch and says, "You're lying to me. We both know that's not true."
What do you mean?
What about Glitz?
What about Glitz?
There's nothing of this world that he would give to get her back.
You can't exactly give back a dead person, my friend. And nobody in her realm of work dies accidentally. I can tell you that much.
Why don't you elaborate on that?
At that point, he starts glancing up at the cameras, and then he looks back at you. I'd rather not. He just says and he starts to bring back that polite smile. Just.
That's
Speedy,
an answer.
And Speedy, since you already did an interruption, I'll let you do a hacking thing. If you want to do a hacking thing, would you like to do a hacking thing?
No.
No?
But if I can continue to use my interruption, I would just also say to Tarnus, it's all right. Say out loud what you're okay with Neonet hearing. Think what you want me to hear.
All right, so Smiley, roll. Roll your negotiation +3. Let's make this interesting.
All right. So +3. How would I do that?
Let's see.
I can click the and then I just roll like 3d6.
Sure.
1, 2, 3. Shit. Well, I got a 4.
We have every reason to believe that Neonet has this coming. Mr. Jameson's not doing this by accident nor because of greed. He's doing this on purpose. Very real purpose that I believe in. And I wouldn't betray Mr. Jameson. He's got too much writing on the line. And he looks up in the general direction of the ceiling, but you can get the impression he's talking about the building. Bringing down something that should have been brought down a long time ago.
Well, unfortunately, in the process of that, you're going to suffer. So I hope when you got all that money, you thought you would be able to spend it. Because I think all of it is going to go to hospital bills. And I move towards him. What's his security like? If you hired the guns, what does he have backing him up right now? When we raid his fucking house.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I want you to roll your intimidation, and I want you to roll... Actually, I'm going to roll the glitch die.
All right. That's a 3.
Okay, so roll that. And Turnus rolls glitch die. Okay, so we match and he gets the exploit.
Interesting. All right.
Wait, you never even been to the building, have you?
I'd like to interject with a plot point, if possible.
Ooh,
Oh,
with what?
shit.
With what?
I imagine that this is Shadowrun, right? The glass that is behind the two or between the two rooms. I imagine that's some sort of display as well, so they can just put up something cool on it, because it's the future and that's what they do. So I'd like to put up on the display so he can see it all manner of, like, this is how you torture someone by pulling their fingernails off. But before you do that,
Whoa.
stick splinters in under the fingernails really far until it starts bleeding and jiggle them out a bit. And also, did you know that if you take their fingers and you break each bone on them, it really fucking hurts?
Can I like turn to your character and just say, it's time to put on your earmuffs?
Yes,
LVT?
yes, I would.
Yes.
I would also like to interject with a plot point.
Oh,
I
you do.
bring up the anarchist cookbook to how to torture someone on the fucking screen so he can see
Okay,
it.
before Bub does this thing, LZT, roll the glitch die. I want to see if you get an exploit.
Oh god.
It's just a D6, right?
There is actually.
Oh wait,
a glitch
I
die.
clicked the thing.
Yep.
You never see
where-
it coming.
Let's see if you get an exploit.
Where's that from? Which series is that
Persona.
from? Oh, it's Persona, right?
It's actually just mentioned in
where's
chat.
It's under skills.
okay.
It looks like a camera lens.
Yeah.
Under skills? Looks like.
Why did I go with this makeup? Of all makeups.
All right. So yeah, it'll look like a little circular orb. Type
I got
of thing. There you go. Okay. Go ahead and roll me that.
6.
Ooh!
God bless it.
So, he clearly is staring at all these little torture images coming up as Smiley is adding to this little bit of dialogue, and now he's actively shriveling in his chair now. Bub, what's your interruption?
My plot point interruption is that Chord recalls, while it's tricky and it requires a little bit of hacking on the fly, courtesy of this device that is attached to this man's head, he can actually alter memories. He may be able to permanently wash a memory away from someone or change details about a memory to the point of them never remembering a certain detail or someone being there that shouldn't have at the time.
Is
Cool.
that? I don't want to be a joy killer, but is that actually possible in Shadowrun?
LZT, yes. It is
cool.
actually a very real thing. And the reason why I know that is because I was looking up stuff in case you wanted to do that kind of thing to Bub, to Haas.
Fucker.
I found a real thing in Chrome Flesh where you
knew
can
it.
literally alter memories. There's a machine, there's an operation that does that.
How did you make Haas forget that he killed someone? Oh no, we didn't. We didn't make him forget that. We made him think that he killed 400 people. It was just another one in the pile.
All right.
Okay.
So in universe, this is a very real device.
Cool.
So it takes some hacking on the fly, but you can alter memories, potentially changing the trajectory of relationships as you know it.
And you already have control of it, and you have that exploit. So
I'll spend that plot point now.
okay. Now we'll consider that as you using your plot point for him. So if he wants to follow up on it, he can do it now.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chord, if you want to do that.
Man.
If you wanted to, we could take an early quick break and come right back.
Unless you guys want to finish the scene first.
I don't know if this scene's going to be over.
It'll be over soon.
Okay, all right.
Dang, anarchy, yo.
It'll be over soon.
All right. I'm going to alter his memory to tell him I'm going to add a memory of a message from Jameson that told him that there would be someone who would come in when he's being interrogated.
Oh my god.
This was planned all along.
This is real nasty.
That's cool.
Who would be there to help him. That all of this would be a show, and that all he has to do is say aloud something that Neonet wants to hear, and pass along the message in his mind, the truth, and pass along Jameson's known location and the location of his server. Or, actually, I know the location of his server.
Well, you know the location of his house.
I know the location of his house. Well, I know the company that is hosting the server.
Yes, you do know that.
So I want him to pass me access to that server and security information for his house so that we can enter it.
So the rest of you see this machine start just making this whirring noise as it sort of drills into his head. Not quite drill, but it just sounds like it. It's just drilling into his brainstems, and all of a sudden you're just hearing this. And this happens for at least a minute of him just like shaking in the chair, and then he goes still. And then he glances around quickly. Glances at the paper. And then he goes, he's got a private host set up by Seder Krupp. They're watching over the building. And at that point, Chord, you get the images of a server out in the middle of what you definitely assume is a wooded area north of the Barrens. And you see a gang there. You see a gang guarding the server. And they're wearing red and some other color. I'll have to get back on that. But you do notice like hands being shaken by Tarnis's hands and this orc gang member who seems somewhat civilized. But behind him you see some of his gang members like pulling out some cider parts off a dead corpse. A old man corpse that probably died from like a food or something. And you see at least a trap door that's wide open, and you see some circuitry inside of it.
Do I get names of those people? Those gangsters?
The sound is distorted when the name is mentioned, but you definitely see the image of the gang's colors, which I'll have to tell you later. And the sort of mental words you're getting, Chord, is that Hermes supplied an offline server and it's being protected in the Barrens.
I knew we'd wind up in the Barrens.
So for all intents and purposes, game protected server north of the Barrens, take that out, take out the host. Hermes could probably tell you more, but you pretty much got all you probably need.
During session 1 of this game, we were talking about locations, and you were like, oh yeah, bad shit happens in the Barrens. Let me tell you. It's like,
oh my lord.
I believe we brought it up as, hey, if you have a Dockwagon subscription and you're in the Barrens, shit don't help.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know. He had me exchange the money and set up the server. That was my job, and to help front some of his business. That's it. I don't know any more than that. And Smiley, you've been with him for a good few minutes. You can tell he's telling the truth now. Though he is very spiteful towards you right now.
I sigh. Say, hold on. My dad made a prophecy about this one time. He puts down all the instruments and he leaves.
I would like to interject with a plot point.
Oh, what does
I
LGT do?
want a plot point first.
Okay.
Four,
LGT's
go
got a
ahead.
plot point. What do you do?
Okay.
No, four go first.
No. I get a plot
He gets
point.
one for saying.
Oh,
saying
okay.
My dad
Oh,
literally made a
okay.
prophecy that
I
I would
see.
be in this
That's
situation
your cue.
and this would
Okay.
happen.
The screen that was all up until now showing ways of torture now has about yay big little red thing that pops up that says terminate subject in red letters.
Why would you do that?
I'm not a big fan of this guy. I'm not gonna shoot him, but he's
So-
gonna shoot himself.
So does he just panic at this, or does the machine he's hooked up to
That
start to
is
kill him?
that is not up to me. I just want a plot point in this little
So the
2 words.
So the GM shall spend an equal plot point. The
2
GM
words
shall...
that says terminate subject.
So when terminate
Blinking a little bit, so he definitely sees the fucking thing.
So when terminate subject pops up and I spend a plot point, what happens is this seemed to trip some part of the torture machine that he's hooked up to.
Oh shit,
Yeah.
Chord, get out of there.
Like hell it does.
You can roll a glitch die to see if you can catch it.
Oh
I
god.
would love that.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Otherwise...
Glitch.
Oh, no! So, Speedy...
We should have taken that break. We
For
should
some
have
reason-
taken that break.
The machine starts to short out, and it kicks you out as it starts sending it starts sending electrical jolts into his system. So it starts actively microwaving his brain. So he just starts seeing, and not even a few seconds later, and the melting of flesh and blood, he keels over and dies.
I didn't kill him. I didn't kill him. He's
You
dead,
keep
but
saying
nobody killed him. Technically suicide.
This person would never
Suicide.
have done that if you hadn't done that, though.
No, but that doesn't matter.
Yes, and all right.
All right.
Furnace is cooked meat on the table, and he is dead. But you have your information, and I shall stop the creepy interrogation music.
I removed the text.
Hoss has no idea what's going on. He's just like, ugh.
I jack out of the Matrix and
I take my paper. I take the paper with me. Can't take any of the instruments with me.
I'd like to quickly just like that, just remove the text so no one can see what's ever there, because the other guys had the back turned them and Chord was plugged in, so it's like, and all the evidence gone.
So, Furnace is dead, and when you come out, obviously Eliza's been sitting around waiting, and she says, "What happened? What'd you do to him?"
I scared him, I guess.
She sort
well,
of crumbles in size, but then she looks at Smiley and she asks, "Did you at least get the information you needed?"
I think my social network has a lead somewhere.
Very well.
Another plot point.
Go ahead. Plot point. You're just nailing them all. All right. So, what's your next move? Are you gonna go visit the? Are you gonna follow up with Grant Lester?
We could do that. We could also go to the Barrens.
you don't know about the Barrens.
Oh shit, that's right. We might do that actually. We have to weigh in on everybody's. What do you all think? How'd I do?
You did very well. If you haven't gotten a plot point for your last narration, Smiley, go ahead and get a plot point.
Well, thank you.
So,
I'm very sincere to her.
Eliza then goes, I would definitely recommend following up with Mr. Lesker, but I should mention if he's reverse engineering this, and yes, I was tapping in.
Oh?
I imagine the program that sophisticated could take about 4 or 5 days. So take care of whatever you need to get done and get on it as soon as possible.
Certainly. Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Oh, and give Grant Lesker my regards. We've worked together before. At that point, she goes into the room and closes it, and now she has to clean up your mess.
It's not my man.
Not
I
it.
wasn't
anything.
him, fuck.
No, it wasn't me.
All right. So,
I mean, if anyone, it's Chord's fault because he was the one jacked into his brain.
It
All
wasn't
right.
me, I swear, you guys.
and ladies and gentlemen, this is your black trench coat segment of Anarchy for the day. Why don't we go ahead and go on break before we go meet with Mr. Grant Lesker?
Sounds good.
Great.
Okay.
Sounds
Over
good.
reveal the pink lining of the trench coat.
Guys, we'll be
that
back.
pink is going to come out quick.
We will be back in about 5 or so minutes. Go ahead and take a little bit of break. Get yourself something to drink. Take a bio break. And we'll see you when we return. BRB.